Wake 'em up! Hi, how's it going? My name is Julio Negron with podcast and YouTube channel Wake 'em Up Ministry. And for mental health, I always use the gospel message, and that is that even though in the midst of my shortcomings in life, any failings or me not doing things right, that God loved me so much, He sent His only Son, Jesus Christ, to die for all my wrongs, making me right with Him and showing me unconditional love. And that causes me to have strength to be able to live differently and live better and help others.
Hi, this is Pastor Deidre Jones. I am the creator and co-host of the Sure What's Up podcast. And I'm also a Christian life coach. So a lot of what we talk about, both on the podcast and with my clients, is for our spiritual and mental health. I think it's one and the same. And so the main thing for me is to stay in the presence of God. I have this mantra for depression and mental health that is a mix of 3 different verses. In your presence is fullness of joy. The joy of the Lord is my strength, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Hello, everyone. I am here today with Javier Caraballo. Javier, thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. For those who are not familiar with the awesome things you're doing, let them know about yourself.
Been barbering for about 19 years. So I've owned my shop for about 9 years. And then I was working for other people for about 10. I like to do a lot of things with the community and help build others up, others upcoming barbers and people that are just trying to do something other than just sit down and watch TV,
So oftentimes we talk about the difference of being busy and being productive, which is what you're talking about, right? And in that attempt to be productive, we have to find harmony with our mindset. Talk about some strategies that you use in order to maintain a healthy mindset.
Planning is everything. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I like to plan everything that I do in advance. Like if I have an idea of I like to travel and do hair shows. So when I do those, I don't fly off the wing. Sometimes I do. I try not to. But life happens. So sometimes it's like, hey, we need you here, and I gotta go. But if I can help it, I'm always trying to plan it out. Just because I want to make sure that whatever I do it with a purpose. And if I don't have a purpose for it, then if I don't plan it out, it's hard for me to find a purpose for something.
You said you've been doing it for 19 years, right? You've been owning your shop for the last 9. Talk about some strategies for those individuals that are maybe thinking about taking up the trade, but are finding difficulty, or maybe where to begin.
Barbering is pretty simple. It's consistency. It's learning the trade first, learning your skills. What I find that a lot of people do is that they learn how to do a skin fade, and then they just become unreliable. They're like, okay, I know how to do a skin fade. People need to find me. And that's not the truth. The truth is that we're always on the prowl. You always have to look for your next meal. You have to keep looking for a new client, looking for another opportunity. A lot of people, they stay stagnant. They become complacent with where they have gotten, and then they stay in that zone. And that's a dangerous zone to be in, because if you feel comfortable, you're going to be comfortable.
Yeah, as it said, the body in motion stays in motion. The body at rest, stays at rest. When we talk about launching that business, many individuals are sometimes paralyzed by fear. Talk about maybe some fears you had to overcome with launching your business.
I feel like I'm still fairly young at mind. So when I first opened up the shop, it was kind of like scary, thinking that I'm going to be in control of, not so much as in control or in charge, more of in charge of an establishment. So like if people were going to respect me as an owner or a boss, or if people were going to respect my business, because a lot of my friends, they're my friends. They known me since I grew up. They knew back when, I was doing childish things. So like now I'm becoming an owner, I have to become more of a responsible individual. So it's like, I have to tell my friends, hey, the things that we used to do in the barbershop is kind of different now. It's my shop now, So it's like, it's like I got to make sure that I keep a good smooth running establishment with no hanging out, no crazy talk and stuff like that. It was more intimidating than it really was, because it wasn't hard. It really wasn't hard. If you have people that respect you and respect your trade and respect the goals that you have in your life, they're gonna follow suit.
Yeah, I was listening to an interview of John Sally, former basketball player, and you and I often will talk basketball. So, in one of his interviews,
Mm.
they asked him about the way the game has changed, and he said that the only reason the game has changed is because they're now in so many markets. So obviously, individuals have to behave a certain way, act a certain way, because the more you enter in different markets, as you mentioned, there has to be a character change, and the way that we present ourselves has to change. But obviously, with all of those changes, you are kind of crossing borders and interjecting with different cultures. How does that play a factor with being a barber and handling those conversations and handling all of those individuals that can come through the door and you don't know if they maybe are a Christian or an atheist or somebody who's a loudmouth or any of the other characteristics?
I like to look at people as like we're all a work in progress. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. So like I try to work with people when they come from their different walks of life. It's great because I get the mixing pot. I get to be able to work with different individuals, because even though not just as an owner, as a barber as well, like a lot of my clients, they come from different backgrounds, and I have to make sure that everybody's comfortable. Being a barber help mold me to be to where I'm at, so that when I'm working with individuals one-on-one as their mentors, it's a little easier for me to adapt to their styles and kind of give them a heads up, like, hey, if they are a little rough around the edges, hey, look, man, I get it. I've been there before. This is what we have to do, though, because you have to be a professional at the end of the day. You have to make sure people feel good about coming in the shop and they don't feel threatened. You have to be approachable and all of that stuff. I try not to talk too much religion in the shop. I come from a Christian background. My father's a pastor, and most of my family on my dad's side are Christians. My grandmother from my mom's side, she passed away. She served the Lord, and a few people from my mom's side served the Lord as well. But the conversation of religion in the shop, it's a very, very, very touchy subject, because you get people that get mad, and then they start, instead of having a civil conversation about religion, which at the end of the day, when we speak religion, we're not supposed to argue. We're supposed to set our points and let people know the truth in the light. But at the same time, we have to do it with love and kindness and understanding that not everybody understands what we were raised on, because I could teach you one thing in my house and somebody could teach you something in your house. And when we get together and we start talking our differences, we can't be fighting about it. We have to talk about it and try to come to an understanding, because I could be wrong, you could be wrong, at the end of the day, but I just try to make sure that, we keep it as civil as possible.
Now, when we talk about that mentoring that you're doing, you actually do offer classes and you offer information for those individuals who maybe want to enter into the field or want to take classes or courses. How could they get connected with you? Talk a bit about those classes that you offer.
So I offer classes on Wednesdays. What I like to touch on is everything about barbering. It's not just cutting hair. It's the cleanliness as well, because a lot of barbershops, you go to the barbershops and they're still using brushes, the board brushes, or they're still using the dusters to dust off their clients. And all that stuff is, not only one, is it illegal, but two, it's disgusting. The brushes, if you look at the dusters that the barbers dust you off with, if you take a look at those bristles and you look down each one of those bristles, you'll see like little balls of dirt and pockets of bacteria. It's disgusting, because you use it on one person, you use it on the next person, you use it on the next person. That's just like going to somebody's basket, laundry basket, and putting it on their socks or something. Is pretty nasty. And the board brushes, when they're wood is a porous material. So for you to clean that, there pretty much isn't any type of cleaning. Obviously, the wood is going to start getting worn out, but it still holds the bacteria. So no matter what type of products of a disinfectant product you put on it, it's not going to clean it. That's one of the reasons why it's illegal. And also, people don't clean them. People don't clean them. If you take one of those brushes, go to one of the barbershops, you see them using the board brushes. Take a comb, run the comb right through the brush, you'll see all that hair coming out. And you see people, they use the brushes they use it on one face, they use it on the next face. I mean, especially now with COVID, we have to be more conscious of that stuff. So that's one of the things I like to touch up on. I definitely teach the skills of blending and edging up and all of the scissor work and the razor work. Just trying to breed barbers that are more responsible, but still have the skill.
For those who are listening and they want to get connected with you, let them know how they could do so.
So I have an Instagram. It's cut_pros_barbershop. My Facebook page, my business page is Cut Pros Barbershop. You can also call the shop. It's 585-467-8842. Just ask for Javi or the barbers that I hire are going to, if I'm teaching them, they have a skill already. They already know what they're doing. I'm just bettering them. Or I already have people that are good. I can sit anybody in their chair and feel comfortable with the haircut, how it's going to come out.
I definitely do appreciate you, sir, for being part of the program and for all the awesome service you provide.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for everyone who has been connected here today on Strategy Rewind Podcast. For more information on this podcast, head over to strategyrewind.com. Of course, I also want to thank today's guest and encourage you to head over to the show notes of this episode, as you can find details on what they're doing and how you can connect with them. There in the show notes, you'll also find information on today's show sponsor, which is United Marriage Encounter. Remember, they have events going on all through the calendar year and even in your neck of the woods. Of course, if you'd like to be a sponsor of this podcast, head over to miguellebron.com. There you'll find details not only of how you can become a sponsor of this podcast, but also information on Miguel LeBron coaching. As always, please consider subscribing and sharing this podcast. And of course, surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision.